So 9 weeks after we had the builders in, starting to reconstruct the garden, it was completed. And we've just got one or two little bits to go. It's the middle of winter now, so you're going to be able to see the differences, but there's obviously a lot of planting that will happen in spring, including in the pond, which has nothing in it at the moment. So I'm just going to give you a little tour here, and we've got a nice bed there to go. But as I said, we're in January at the moment, but the difference now is we have this retaining wall with a nice bed to hold plants and trees. So we've got a few plants here. We've got the odd grass, a bit of cover for birds and insects. We've got some hebes. We will have some buddleia and lavender, and this nice little section here. What we have also done, doesn't look great at the moment, but we've planted some, in this case, Mexican fleabane in the walls. So we're hoping by spring and summer that'll explode out and start to cover the wall. So here you can see a silver birch. It's a multi-stem, so it's designed more to grow outwards rather than upwards, although it will still grow substantially. It won't grow as much as a silver birch next door. As you can see, it's a substantial tree, but the idea is that it will meld in with the background there. And then as we swing round, you'll see that we have a frozen pond at the moment. Here we have on the side of the pond a lot of pots at the moment. It's just to keep some space so that when we start planting in the spring, we'll remove the pots and just put some compost and earth around there, and then the new plants will go in. So as you'll also see with the pond, we've also got quite a lot of larger boulders and a bit of gravel, etc. That's just to allow anything that wants to climb in to get a drink, they can, and then they can climb out. And then you can see we've got the Bridge of Jeopardy. It's just a nice way to get across, but it adds some more cover for any wildlife in the pond. And then across here, we're hoping, it's difficult to see, but I'll try and zoom in. You can see we've got 1 and 2, and actually to the left, underneath, I think what looks like clover, 3, what we hope will be frog caves. So in the corner here, we have a hawthorn. It will be the largest tree that we've planted. At the moment, obviously, although it's quite high, it's quite thin, but that will over time start to grow outwards. So this section, we've got a few planters. I freely admit I feed the birds in winter. So here I just put a little bit of peanut butter out with some nuts in it. Magpies, crows, blackbirds, etc. They all come in and feed off that. And we've got a bit of cover here. We've got a few plants in at the moment, but we've got some honeysuckle that will gradually go up and over the bird feeder, but it will go up and onto these arches. And we have a couple of them, and we'll be planting some other plants, climbers, shortly, i.e. in spring, and again they'll hopefully grow up. We can also see across behind the fence here is this is a wild meadow sort of turf. This one in particular grows up successfully around ponds, so we're going to be interested to see what comes along in spring and summer. Because this is first year, we don't cut it back. It will be cut back in autumn, and that way you deprive the turf of the nutrients it needs to have the grasses outcompete the wildflowers. So the wildflowers will hopefully continually come up self-seed every year. Here we have this sad looking at the moment spindly winter blossoming cherry. As you'll be able to see, there is some blossom on it at this particular moment in time, and that will obviously grow a little bit. It's not a big tree to plant here. And we also have some more Wildflower Meadow here. It's really interesting actually. We've only had this planted a few months, couple of months, and yet the birds you can see picking around looking for insects already. It's quite interesting. We get a lot more blackbirds, for instance, in here than we did before. The side of the garage, we're going to have a couple of Banksia roses. They're evergreen, so they'll stay green throughout the year. And then obviously we've got our little water butt here just to gather some more rainwater. Kind of handy when we get to the summer and we're in a drought season. If I pull back a bit, you'll then see what would be the courtyard. Again, we haven't got a lot of plants in here yet, but we've started by planting a few ferns. These sort of tongue ferns that we do like. This one's looking a little bit sad. I've got a bit of topiary. I don't know how well that'll do, but we've got a lot more space to actually do the planting with. If we wander around another archway, we'll have some climbing roses go over these archways as well. And then at the moment we have some of our old roses just waiting to be planted. And then if we come over here to what used to be the hornbeam, you'll see now we've just got a few spare rocks which we've placed for just at the moment for insects to hide in. Don't really know what we're going to do with them. We'll have a think later on. But here we have a rowan tree. So it's survived Storm Eunice on Friday, which was 90-mile-an-hour winds. So if it can survive that, I think it's got a good chance. And then a little copse we've created. This is a little cherry tree that's just been staked to the ground. And then to the right we have an amelanchier. Again, they all offer something different for the wildlife, for birds, insects, mammals, etc. So we're hoping they'll grow up nicely, give us a little bit of shelter but not be too big for the area.